And out of the back window above the tree, there was a very long, thin, black triangular object with three blue lights on the corners of it and a white light in the center of it. Yes, well, my name's Robert Earl White, Order of Light, Project Horizon, with my good friend and colleague, Anthony Esemplare. And Anthony and I, we skywatch. We record UFOs, UAPs, military crafts, satellites. We track all of these things. So, when the drone phenomena started really going off in New Jersey and people were sending their videos of airplanes flying around in the sky and calling it a drone and all of this, Anthony and I, we really started putting our eyes to the skies to see if we could capture one of these for ourselves. There was one night, it was raining, cloudy, very high winds. Winds were around 50 miles per hour. It was an awful night. You couldn't see anything in the sky. And long and behold, there was this very low flying circular with, you can eventually see the four, propellers on it going. A very strange sound, but this massive, small car sized drone cruising through the sky, and I was recording it and I'm saying it's military. This was on December 4th, so at the beginning of all these drone sightings. And it was heading towards the Hope Creek nuclear plant, which I live a few miles from. And I'm like, well, that's strange. That's something very low heading towards a no-fly area. I recorded the video, and of course, at first, no one was seeing it. But after a while, Anthony and I, we recorded a few. We sent this to the FBI headquarters as well. They were asking for reports. And 2 weeks went by, and then Anthony and I, after he recorded a few as well, Anthony and I, we made this joke, and I'm like, how funny would it be after Trump and other people were saying, shoot these things down, the military should shoot them down. I'm like, how funny would it be if I used CGI and I overlaid and edited actual gunfire firing at this real drone. The drone was real. The gun firing was fake. Anthony puts it up on his YouTube channel, Epic TV NY, and didn't really get many views. I posted it on my X and on Facebook, and it didn't really get any views. It was just a joke, and in our description, Anthony and I both clearly state this is CGI, the gunfiring is not real. This is just an example of what could happen if the people don't get answers to what
Right.
these things are. It's just a matter of time until a crazy redneck out in the woods takes his gun and starts shooting at these things. If the government's not going to do it, some crazy redneck will. That's how it's always been. That's what America is about. So
Right.
we made this video. Someone stole the video, did not add the title, the disclaimer, the description of it being fake. They shared it, and it became the number one video around the world. Shared by every big name on X, Facebook, YouTube. It was at the top of the X page. So
Billions of
many
views.
billions of views. Joe
Billions.
Rogan talked
Billions.
about it on his podcast. Many people were, falling for this misinformation. And then Anthony and I, we had to come up and start, defending, basically community noting ourselves and
Right.
telling all these people that stole our video, shared it without context, telling them, hey, that's our video. You left something out before you stole it. The fact
Yeah.
that the gun firing isn't real. And Anthony did a lot of work talking with these people because we weren't going to let it go. We want people to know the truth, and we're not going to have our names tarnished because
Right.
someone stole something out of context. So,
Right.
yeah, we are speaking up about it and saying, hey, you're promoting a false narrative. And it's crazy to see how many big UFO names in the community shared this, even including a former FBI agent saying that it was real and shooting at a UFO when it was clearly a man-made craft, you
Yep.
know, on a big channel. Yeah.
Well, that's a bummer.
It's a
Yep.
bummer.
That's
Yeah.
a bummer. So you said even Joe Rogan talked about the video. That's
He
interesting.
did.
Yes. With Ryan
Ryan
Graves
Graves. Ryan Graves and Joe Rogan talked
Oh, I
about it.
talked
remember.
about
Right.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they talk about it.
Yeah, that's the video.
Yep.
Yeah.
Insane. Anthony and I, we didn't sleep for an entire week.
Oh my God.
We've never had anything go
Crazy.
viral like that. And
And every
it,
news network in America contacted us. I mean, everybody. It was crazy for a while.
New York Times, so many others,
The
just
post
insane.
routers, yeah, everybody.
Daily Mail.
So, guys, give me your opinion on the drone situation over there. What do you think these drones are? What's the purpose? What's the intention?
My personal belief is that the military rolled out a testing platform for larger drones because when you look overseas now, you see a lot of these countries using Russia. They're using the drones as weapons. They're flying them into buildings. They're flying them into tanks. They're dropping bombs from them, and they're all smaller drones, maybe 3 to 6, 10 feet wide. So I think the military started testing their own drone operation for about a week. Some people seen them, some people filmed them. People were confused by the sheer size of them because they were the size of small cars and SUVs.
Yeah.
And I think that frightened some people. And then I think a lot of people went out and started filming the sky that never filmed the sky before. And they were not familiar what a plane looks like at night or a helicopter or what the FAA flashing lights are or when planes are leaving the airport and they fly 30 seconds behind each other and you see a whole line of them in the sky. They were assuming there's 10, 12 drones in the sky. Look at this. But meanwhile, a lot of it was just misidentified man-made aircraft that we see every day. But to get back to it, I think that the military rolled out a new drone program, and a lot of people just happened to catch this test that they rolled out for about a week because after that it ended. We haven't seen any more of it since then.
Yeah. And to add to Anthony's point, like what's going on in Ukraine and, who's supplying all of those drones. And in Ukraine, these conflicts are happening in highly populated areas. New Jersey, per square mile, is the highest capital of people. It's the most amount of human beings living within a square mile is New Jersey. And so to really test these capabilities, you would need to test them in a highly populated civilian area. For example, you need to know how long that drone can fly until everyone down on the ground
Easily.
knows that it's there.
Right.
That's a possibility. Also, the famous War of the Worlds, Orson Welles, 1930s, War of the Worlds. That original radio broadcast was right in New Jersey, right in the same area where all these drones started. So it was a perfect area. History repeats itself. It was a perfect area to do that again. The only other possibility, and this has been circulating, Anthony, as well, is that these drones were actually sniffing or searching for some sort of weapon of mass destruction, some sort of chemical weapon. And recently, here in America, with all of the attacks that have been going off, you have to wonder, are they aware of something that they don't want the public to know, and they rather have the public panicking over drones in the sky versus panicking because there could be a weapon of mass destruction in one of the highest populated areas per square mile in the country? And Anthony's right in Staten Island. He basically lives in New Jersey. Staten
Yeah,
Island is New Jersey.
Yeah.
So
pretty much.
he's at the tippy tippy top, and I'm way down in the bottom.
So, but we have the drones also in England. There's drones in Germany, and I told you before. Now they are in Denmark. Do you think it's a coincidence, or do you think
But could it
it's
be a coincidence? Because we have American military bases in all those countries as well, right?
yeah, yeah.
So if the
Yeah.
American military was testing a drone program, they would test it nationally over civilian populated areas. And that could be a rollout program that we're seeing throughout American military bases abroad and on the homeland. It's a strong possibility because the narrative does fit.
Yeah. Um, I also heard a lot of stories about it could be a Russian spy program too.
Could
What do
be
you
that
think?
too. We had the spy balloon, the Chinese spy balloons a couple of years ago. So that happened. Maybe now they just advance the capabilities and push forward to larger drones that are faster and more maneuverability with them. And maybe they're trying to operate with the drones instead of the spy balloons. It's a new era right now. What would you rather use, a drone or a spy balloon that floats in the air? I'd rather use a drone. It's a lot faster.
Drone.
Yeah, you could go stealth. Some of these drones have the capability to go from the air into underneath the ocean
Yeah.
and operate at the same time. The and we hear a lot of reports of these drones coming out of the ocean and flying onto land. One cop here in the States, he witnessed 50 drones come out of the ocean from the water, come off the beach and over onto the land. So that's pretty scary when you think about it. But something's definitely going on.
Heard these stories too, and I
Yep.
always wondered, is it out of the ocean or from the ocean? I don't know.
It was saying out of the
Hmm.
ocean, out
Okay.
of the ocean. But again, that could, you know how it is when people tell stories. By the time that story gets to the fourth or fifth person, it changed 100 times. So every time somebody else tells a story, it changes a little bit. So it could be over the ocean, under the ocean. The truth of the matter is, we really don't know. We'll just stick with they came from the ocean to the land. That happened.
Could they be released from some kind of submarine or something like that?
Very possible. I can't see
Great,
why
great
not.
point.
Great question.
Great point. And that would be very, very wise. So you don't see them landing and you don't really see them taking off.
Because nobody yet has determined where they took off from and where they went back to. Nobody's figured that out yet. And more to your point, Daniel, that would make perfect sense. If there was a submarine that surfaced, they all came back to the sub, loaded them up, and the sub went submerged and took off. That would be
Undetected.
the perfect undetectable plan, I think.
Yeah, I told you before. They're in Denmark too, and in Denmark, a webcam in Denmark captured a Russian submarine.
Submarine, yeah.
It's all over the
Wow.
news. Yeah. So I thought maybe it is something to do with it. I don't know. But I was surprised to learn not too long ago that all this happened before. The drone situation was there already. It was in, I think, in Nebraska and in Colorado. Am I right? It was
I'm not sure.
December 19 until January 20th, 20. So there was a drone situation in, I think, in Colorado and Nebraska. It was almost the
Hmm.
same. There was,
Hmm.
I'll tell you one thing. The first week the drone situation happened, I think it was Saturday, December 4th. I think December 4th at 6 o'clock in the morning. I had one of these massive drones fly right over my house. I was feeding the dog, and then I heard it sounded like a lawnmower in the sky at 6 a.m. And I ran to the front door with my cell phone, and it flew right over my rooftop. It was about 80 feet in the air, and I got a perfect video of this massive drone flying over my house. And then I went on a flight radar program called Flight Radar 24 to check if any planes were in the area, any helicopters, any small prop airplanes, and there was none. So this was definitely a bona fide drone. Then I sent it over to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, our FBI, and they took the report and they called me back and they said this is really good, clear footage. With all the data and documentation, they were really appreciative of that because the FBI has been taking all these reports and they're trying to put together what's going on as well. But we have seen them. I've even filmed one on with the night vision over the ocean
Hmm.
a
no,
couple of days
interesting.
after that. Yeah, they're massive, Daniel. They're not small little toy drones. They're really big. They're like the size of a Volkswagen. They're large.
Yeah, some people hear drones and they think it's these little small drones that you can buy
No,
in
no,
the
No,
Walmart or
no,
something like
no.
that. They're massive. Yeah, I know.
it's not your
And
it's not your DJI Mavic drone. Your small little. They're the
Yeah.
size of a small car. They're big.
And the sound of them, Anthony's, you can actually hear on the night I recorded mine. It was windy, but they're not, they're not like the little drones that
No,
sound like a fly. The one I saw, the sound of it, I explain it. Imagine a commercial airliner flying low and then take a bunch of blankets and muffle that and condense it like like very
Okay.
low,
Guttural, very loud.
guttural, strange. And Anthony and I, we've heard every kind of Anthony and I, we can tell when it's a Cessna, like a little
Sure.
private plane, when it's a jet, military crafts, even certain helicopter. I can tell if it's a Huey or a Black Hawk. They all make their own little sound. And after recording a bunch during the day and night, you get familiar with it. And these drones were definitely different sounding. That's for sure.
I'll tell you what concerns me the most, Daniel. We have a military base here in
Right.
New Jersey called Fort Earl Naval Weapons Station. And that military base had to literally shut down because they were swarmed by these drones. 13 of these drones flew over that base and shut the whole base down. That whole day, from New Jersey to Staten Island, they had helicopters circling over the ocean looking for these drones for the whole day. I filmed the whole thing. So I think even if the military did roll out this program, the only people that know about it were the people that were read into the program. I think a lot of people don't know about it in the military, and it's just the people that were read into this program. It's probably some kind of special access program that they rolled out, the government. That's what I believe.
Okay. Wow, that's very interesting. What can you
And
guys tell?
also,
Oh,
just
sorry.
one real quick thing too, because we're talking about Russia, China, other countries could be possibly spying on us.
Yeah,
Well, make no mistake, America has eyes on every single country,
Yeah.
and they're not the only ones that are doing it. I can
right.
assure you that we are doing the exact same thing. It's not a one-way
Absolutely.
street.
Right.
What can you guys tell me about? Yeah, people telling me about orbs in between these drones and stuff like that. Orbs or light phenomena. Is there something to it?
There actually is, Daniel. And Robert and I are probably the leading authority on orbs. We've probably filmed between the two of us tens of thousands of them, literally. Um, you have, okay, so the orbs and the drones have nothing to do with each other. They're two
Hmm.
totally separate instances. The orbs are, they refer to them as plasmoids or interdimensional transmedium craft. When you see those in the sky, you could tell that it's something totally different. A drone is a man-made object. Now, like I was saying earlier, there's a lot more people with their eye in the sky now because they're interested in the drones. And sometimes they're out there filming for an hour or two looking for a drone, and they just happen to film a UFO orb in the sky. And a lot of that is happening. But mind you, a lot of these people are not trained at what they're looking at. So the first time you see Venus, the planet
Yeah.
Venus in the night sky, and your phone or your binoculars see that in the sky, you may think, oh my God, look, it's an orb, it's a UFO. Look at that. Because when you look at it on the phone, it looks like it's pulsing all different color lights and it looks very strange. And you say to yourself, there's no way that's a star. So a lot of people are misidentifying a lot of these. In America, we have a famous news agency, Eyewitness News. One of their camera people during a live video interview happened to film one of these alleged orbs. And after about 2 weeks, we found out that they misidentified it. It was the planet Sirius that the news team ended up filming. And even somebody as trained as these cameramen that are doing this 30, 40 years, they might be trained cameramen, but they're not trained ufologists. They don't know, they're not astronomers. They don't know how stars look in the camera because they just don't film that. And even they could be persuaded to think that it's something else. But the orbs are a very real phenomenon, very real.
And
So,
if I could add on to what Anthony was saying there, the thing with Venus, Venus planets move faster than stars. So when you're looking at Venus for 5 minutes, it seems as if it's moving because it's faster than the stars. And a great point that Anthony didn't bring up. Anthony and I, we use many tracking softwares, including Satellite Tracker. And to the untrained eye and the average person, if you saw the International Space Station or any other satellite from the ground, they look like an orb traveling through the sky. And
Precisely.
honestly, we use this tracking and we've seen satellites and we've seen orbs, and sometimes it's almost impossible to tell the difference. So without using the appropriate satellite tracking data, a lot of these people could also be misidentifying these orbs that are an actual phenomena. They could be misidentifying them for satellites, the space station, and other strange, things we got
Anomalies, yeah.
going on. Yeah,
Right.
things that aren't on tracking data.
So, if you don't mind, give me a quick roundup on drones, on orbs. What is your interpretation of an orb? What is an orb?
My personal interpretation would be a transmedium craft that can come in and out of our dimension. So look at it like this. You remember the old radios when you would turn the dial and you would go from one radio station to the next radio station, but you would kind of listen to two different radio stations at once. They would bleed into each other.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same way these crafts operate. They're able to travel from their dimension to our dimension, just like turning the dial on a radio. And every now and then you get a glimpse of that craft in our reality, but it's not totally in our reality. So you watch it pass and fly a little bit, and all of a sudden it's gone in the blink of an eye. That's because it kind of went back and slipped into its reality. And we know there's truth to that now because NASA came forward and let us know that there's a minimum of 12, maybe more different dimensions that surround planet Earth. So at any time, you get this bleeding effect from one dimension into the next. And I believe that's what these craft could very well be.
So we're not talking about extraterrestrials. We're talking about some interdimensional, multidimensional beings or objects.
Same thing. Same thing.
Same, yeah, well, same thing, but different. Look, when we think of aliens, right, we think of beings, another life form. The same way we send our Mars rovers to space and they operate with no humans on the planet, we're operating them from here like a drone,
Yeah.
is the same way they can send their technology through to our side. So they might be unmanned aerial vehicles, but they might be of extraterrestrial origin, or they may very well have extraterrestrial beings inside them. We just don't know. I don't know. I haven't had the opportunity to actually have one land and take a look inside. I've only had the privilege to film them in the sky, coming and going. At this point, I can't wait to the day where I can actually get inside one, but I don't know when that's going to happen.
I
And
like.
I have a theory too with some of these orbs and these crafts. And my belief is certain crafts, I believe the anti-gravity propulsion systems, okay? Some of these systems alter the frequency and the electromagnetic field around it. And I believe that when certain crafts come into our atmosphere with the Earth's natural electromagnetic field, it could be some sort of reaction due to the anti-gravity that they are using that creates a ball of light, like this electrolight field around the crafts. I believe that
Yeah,
could also be a possibility. And then I've heard some really kooky ideas, but I'm pretty open-minded. I don't know if you guys would go that far, but I've heard that some of these crafts are alive and that these are actual beings of light
Yeah,
flying around.
I've
I
heard
mean,
that too.
I love it.
I haven't
That's
met them, so I don't know.
I talk about that all the time. I really love the idea that these crafts could be the beings themselves. I really love the
Absolutely.
idea. It could be some kind of. I've talked to Avi Loeb a few
Sure,
times
sure. So,
in our
so have
podcast,
I.
and he told me about the idea of post-biological beings coming from somewhere we don't know where, and
Absolutely.
they could be, yeah, it could be the craft itself. That's what he
Yes.
said practically, and it's an interesting concept, interesting idea. I do believe so, and I also love what you said, Anthony, with the uh coming through the dimensions. I don't know what you call it. I always see it like this. I always say there's, these clear plastic sleeves, right, where you put papers in,
Sure.
and there's a lot of a lot of these plastic sleeves between us and this other reality, or whatever you want to
Exactly.
call it.
Hmm.
And sometimes something, yeah, gets closer and closer. You see it a little bit and a little bit clearer, and yeah, I like the idea. That's a good idea. Yeah. And I think
And it applies to
could
the
be.
paranormal as well. Ghost, and many other strange phenomena, I believe,
Oh, I
is
think
that
it's all one.
dimensional issue.
Sorry, I think it's all one source. I
Hmm.
think the
Yeah,
origin it's there's one origin to all this phenomena. I do believe that. Yeah,
Hmm.
I do believe so. Because I heard a lot of reports on my podcast from people who experienced paranormal stuff, like they've seen some kind of ghost apparition, something like that, and they've seen blue light. I'm sure you heard about that too.
sure.
The blue light, the mysterious blue light. And sometimes people experience some kind of ghost and they see a UFO too at the same time, stuff like that. And the blue light. That's interesting. What do you think was what the blue light is?
Hmm.
Again, it could be so many different things. It could be way the energy expels itself, or the way that energy emits itself when it's in our realm, in our world. It could just be the way it transforms itself so we can see it, and it may illuminate like that. That's how we're seeing it. There's so many ways you could go with that. Without scientific data, it would just be nonsensical.
Now, I did see, I believe possibly maybe the blue light he's talking about is like a blue light being, which in 2012, I have no way to prove this, so I don't really share this publicly, but in my living room, I had an encounter with, a 2 foot diameter sphere of blue light, energetic, that appeared in my living room at arm's reach. It was there. I don't know exact time. It felt like an eternity. Realistically, probably just a couple of seconds. It sucked itself into it. There was a flash, but the flash of light was flat. I had an awful pain in my head. This was in 2012. And after that experience, I'm not going to get into it because I can't prove any of this, but I started to have, a personal awakening. I started having information come to me, mathematical equations that I've never shared with anyone, like just weird stuff coming to me. And I believe, you know, um, I used to be a pastor. I went to Bible college, okay? And I read the Bible a lot. And you hear these stories of these angels, these angelic angels, these light beings, and all these things. And after I had that experience, seeing something physically like that in front of you will really make you question everything. Like, wow, so there is actually a lot more to these mythical stories than we may realize. And
Definitely.
I really wish I would have had a camera, but when you're in that experience, it's so personal. And I believe that these are, higher dimensional beings of some sort because it was there and then it wasn't. How do you explain that? It didn't give me a name, but I felt some sort of intelligence. You know how you can tell something's intelligent? You can feel the intelligence even from an animal. When I had this encounter with this blue light ball, I felt that it had some sort of intelligence.
Hmm, very interesting. Let me give you my idea on blue light when it comes to all the phenomena. Blue light, first of all, regulates our sleep and wake cycle. That's interesting. And blue light boosts alertness and our cognitive function. So
Hmm,
it could be there for a reason. It could make you alert to these phenomena. There could
Very
be a
possible.
reason. It could be a reason the blue light is there. It impacts our mood also. And I read an article and it said it stimulates our non-visual brain pathways too, whatever that means. So
wow.
the blue light, there could be a lot more to the blue light than we think. So that's
Well,
what
see
makes it
how
I
interesting.
agree.
you see how we're asking all these questions on what could it be? What are orbs? What's the blue light? What's the paranormal? That's exactly why we started Project Horizon. We started Project Horizon to try to get all these answers. We have purchased very, very sophisticated, state of the art equipment to do just that now. So, for example, we have a system called UFO DAP. And the UFO DAP system, what it does is it tracks, triangulates, and takes all the data from a UFO when it comes into our atmosphere. It automatically turns on, records and collects all the data, what kind of chemicals or anything burning off of it, if it went in and out of a dimension. I mean, all the data, all the scientific data that you can wish for, these systems track, calculate, and store for us. And then we're able to put it out. Now, we just started this because 2 years ago, Robert and I decided, let's prove to everybody that these unidentified flying objects, they're really happening. So when I see something over my house, I'm going to call you and tell you, I just filmed a UFO. I'm going to give you the latitude, the longitude, the compass readings, and then I want you to go outside and see if you can capture the same exact craft. And we've been lucky twice now, Robert and I, to triangulate the same exact UFO from Staten Island to New Jersey, which has been unprecedented. Nobody has done that yet except for Robert and I. This is a first. And then we're incorporating all this new equipment into it to get all the research data behind it. And then we're going to give that to the public for absolutely free so it can be studied by scientists and peer reviewed.
Awesome. But let's start at the
Yeah.
beginning. When it comes to Project Horizon, guys, uh, please give us a brief overview of Project Horizon at first.
Sure. So Project Horizon, it's basically a groundbreaking initiative aimed at systematic tracking and triangulation along with data collection for unidentified flying objects, UFOs. We have a multidisciplinary team that's poised to leverage advanced technological systems, including the UFO DAP system, that's UFO DAP, which is unidentified flying object detection and analysis platform systems, which encompasses pretty much sophisticated optical tracking software and a mission control software specifically designed for the detection and research. In conjunction with the UFO DAP system, we also employ another system that's called MADAR, MADAR, and that's another cutting edge technology. And the framework for that enhances the capability to detect and record anonymous aerial phenomenon surveillance. So basically, it's an arsenal system built into another system that tracks and triangulates the craft and pulls all the data out automatically. And
Wow.
the operational framework that's involved with that is pretty much a collaborative effort between the New York team, which is me, and Robert and Michael, which are the New Jersey teams. And basically, what happens with the significance of the project is more than just mere observation. It seeks to unravel the complexities of UFO operations and behaviors by meticulously analyzing the collected data that it's pulling in. So when people say, how do you know you filmed a UFO? We'll have all the data, the scientific data cataloged and ready to go so we can hand it to you and say, well, this is how we know it's not a satellite or a man made object. Here's all the data that goes along with it. And we can present that for peer review.
And to add on that to what Anthony is saying about these systems, previously, before acquiring the UFO DAP system and MIDAR, all of this, Anthony and I, we would be outside, we would have multiple devices, and we would see a UFO, unidentified object. And I would have to, pull out my cell phone, check my satellite tracking app, look at my iPad, check the flight radar,
Right. A lot
because
of
I
work.
was using my phone to record what the object is. Sometimes I would stop recording the object just to pull out the satellite tracking because it don't matter if I have something incredible on film. If I have no data proving that it's something truly unidentified, it's
Right.
worth nothing. And with this system that we are building with help of Mike Patrick, our other colleague, who's a scientist building much of this equipment as well. The amazing thing about it, all of that confusion is all going to happen in real time. All
Right.
Anthony and I have to do really is to have our camera lens on these objects. The systems will automatically have all tracking and not just satellite tracking, not just, a flight tracking. It will have drone tracking. It will have weather patterns, cloud coverage, electrogenetic anomalies, how much static electricity is in the air. Like
Right.
Anthony said, what chemicals and compounds can be represented by these sensors that are
Wow.
shooting out, and they have like a 5 mile, possibly 5 mile beyond
Five to
radius.
10. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that can
basically,
track
bas-
everything.
basically, we have two of these units. Okay. So we set one up on Staten Island, and we set another UFO DAP up in New Jersey, and they cover like a cone like this. So anything that comes into that cone into our atmosphere, that machine's going to detect from here into low Earth orbit, and it's going to automatically turn these two cameras on. So one camera is going to record everything, and the other camera is going to take pictures rapidly, multiple thousands of photographs of this object moving. So you're going to get it like slices of pie. And the other one's going to record plus night vision and FLIR, one camera detecting heat and the other one doing the night vision. So we have all our bases covered here. It's really fascinating, groundbreaking technology. But the data collection, when that allows us researchers to gather the essential data of the movement patterns, the speeds, the behaviors, all that information is vital for understanding the characteristics of these phenomenon. And before really doing this, there's only been a handful of groups that even touched upon this technology. I think up in the game to more sophistication is going to help people better understand exactly what's going on. I think it's time to try to understand exactly what's going on. And unlike other teams that charge a ton of money, hey, you want to come out with us for a night under the stars? It's $5,000. You want our data? We're going to charge you for it. We're doing it all absolutely free. We just want everybody to learn what we're learning in real time and try to share this information with everyone for free. We don't ask anything in return.
And it sounds awesome, man. How many people are involved in this project?
Well, there's three, myself, Robert, and Michael. We're the three team guys.
The three
But
amigos.
the three amigos, but we also have astronomers and other scientists and other friends from the Mutual UFO Network that assist us with a lot of our research. So once we get the data, once the three of us in our units collect the data, it automatically gets sent out to different scientists. Even Avi Loeb, we can send out this to him and ask him to peer review it and give us his expertise on it, because that's the way it should be. When new information is found in UFO land and ufology, it should be shared through the entire community, because I might not solve it, Robert may not solve it, but Frank Smith, who's 100 miles away, who's into this, might solve it because he has different expertise. And we believe by more people being brought in and the community widening out, and we send this information to as many people as possible, we're going to get the answers we're looking for.
I can imagine this is a pretty expensive project. So, what are the challenges when you start a project like this?
A lot of money. so
Yeah,
so far, so far in equipment, I've spent tens of thousands. The UFO DAP systems alone, they're about $3,500 a piece.
damn.
The Madar systems are about $600 a piece, and I mean, these Psionics cameras, this is a low grade one that's like $600. They go up to like $1,200. And I have two of them. Plus FLIR cameras that go anywhere from $500 to $6,000. So it's a lot of money we dump out of our own pockets, but we love the subject. We're passionate about it, and we want answers. Like everybody wants to know what they are, where they're coming from, why are they here? Are they a threat to our national security? Um, you always hear Jeremy Corbell say, weaponize your curiosity, right? Well, I weaponized my bank account and I bought all this sophisticated gear that I can buy. And now we're trying to learn what it is.
Yeah, man, it's so interesting. Yeah, can you get more into these FLIR cameras? What do they do?
Sure. So, flick cameras, I mean, Robert, do you want to speak on this or you want me to go?
Uh, I could speak on it. So the flare camera, that's a thermal camera. Thermal. It
Right.
sees heat,
Oh,
cold. Cold will
right.
show up blue. You're probably used to the term thermal. Flare is the brand, the manufacturer of
Oh,
the camera, and they make some of the most state-of-the-art thermal imaging devices that you can find. So I'm
Right.
sure you know what that is.
yeah, right. Oh, okay.
So, so,
Got it.
so basically, to piggyback on what he's saying,
Hmm.
the FLIR camera works by detecting temperature differences, like he said, heat signatures. So different materials absorb radiant heat at different rates. So objects with different heat signatures will appear more clear in FLIR. So basically, when you put your hand on a table and you remove your hand, you see the sweat from your hand on the table, right? That's what the FLIR camera will see and pick up the thermal image of it, basically. Very
And
sophisticated technology.
just the other night, Anthony had his night vision camera set up. Just a few nights ago, had his night
Yep,
vision camera set up, and he had the flare thermal camera directly next to it. Two cameras looking at the exact same part of the sky. He captured something that was not on the night vision camera, but can be seen, a very large, low-flying object on the thermal camera and nothing on the night vision camera. And that's
correct.
why Anthony and all of us are trying to get so many different cameras, even like full spectrum, cameras that see in different light spectrums. The more cameras you have going, one without the other. With just a thermal camera, all you see is a red dot moving. There's no proof behind it. It's worthless. But if you have a normal camera recording right next to it and you can see there is nothing there, that red dot on the thermal camera becomes quite more compelling.
Correct. So just an example, this is a Psionics color night vision camera. This camera has the ability to see in low light conditions, either naturally or with the aid of the device. Okay. It's also known as a scopic vision. So the human eye has rods that help that vision in the dark. So basically, that's what this does. It pulls the light out, the ambient light from the surrounding area to help you see in the dark. And it'll provide a color vision state or black and white or green, depending on however you want to utilize this. And it's very interesting because the human eye can only see in so many different light spectrums. This camera sees in a different light spectrum that the human eye cannot see, and the FLIR detects it, the heat signature, which is something like cats would see, or big lions, or something like that. Now, when you have all three cameras set up together, like Robert was saying, the other night I filmed this object fly through the sky that was only visible in thermal. So I only picked up the heat signature of this object. The night vision did not see it, and the 4K camera did not see it. So this is why we have to have so much different technology to try to pick these craft up because they operate in so many different platforms. It's really strange technology that they're operating with.
Two things come into mind when you talk about that stuff. It's first of all, I heard of that some of these drones they don't have a heat signature.
Hmm.
Sounded quite interesting to me, and the so-called jellyfish UFO. It wasn't visible on these normal cameras.
Correct. It
Yeah,
was only vision. It was only visible on the IR camera, on the night vision camera, and you saw that it kind of looked gray. You saw how the image kind of
yeah,
looked gray. These particular cameras have three different operating modes, so you can use color night vision, you can use gray where you see it in black and white, or green, like kind of like when you see the military videos doing the night vision all in green. Those are the three camera modes that this have. They're all the same, just some of them intensify light in different ways. But they're pretty much all the same thing. When Corbell filmed that jellyfish UFO, the regular base cameras did not see it. Only the night vision picked it up, which is pretty interesting because that's a totally different spectrum of light, which means that people on the ground that were actually looking up trying to find this with their eyes could not see it as well.
yeah.
Which,
What is your guys' take on the jellyfish UFO?
look, I think all these UFO stories are fascinating. I really do. And I'm what they call a want to believer. I want to believe all the stories. But when I get them, I also want to see all the data that goes along with it
Right.
to cancel out that it's not a Mylar balloon or some kid's birthday balloon that got blown in the wind. I want actual sophisticated mathematical equations to come out of there so I could say without a shadow of a doubt, the math makes sense. This is a craft that's being operated by something, some kind of intelligence. It's not just blowing in the wind. That's what I need to know.
Hmm.
But I
Interesting.
find it all fascinating.
Yeah, me too. But there's so much speculation going on with this jellyfish UFO. Yeah, you don't know what to think
There's
really.
Daniel. There's so much speculation going on with almost every UFO sighting today. And why is that, right? Because we all know there's UFO channels out there with millions of subscribers that believe every word they say, and all they do is put out fake UFO footage that looks pretty real. It's all about money, clicks, and views. That's why it's so important to Robert, Michael, and I not to charge a dollar for any of this information. Because when we give you the information, we want you to say to yourselves, now, wait a minute, These guys don't want anything from us. They're just trying to give us bona fide information. They're not asking for anything. So why would they lie? Clearly, they don't want to make any money off this. We just want the truth, finally, because we're so tired of the community being flooded by all these fake videos that are being passed around. It really does a huge disservice to ufology. It truly does.
I agree. I agree. Totally agree. So I'm interested in some data. Is there some data that you can show? So you sent me some videos. Is this
I can
material?
definitely I can definitely send you some data that you can add in this video. Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
So the videos you showed me, they're not from your project.
They're not from the project. Only one of those videos that I'll send you one that is from the very first one that we tracked and triangulated, both Robert and I.
Ah, okay. Let me see if I can find it real quick so we can have a look. The first one should be
Oh no,
this video.
I didn't send it. I've only sent you three videos so far. I'm saying I will send you
Oh,
the
okay.
one. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Okay. What are these three videos that you sent me?
So one video is of one of the plasma orbs. I think another one is a triangular craft I captured a while back. It's just 3 points of light flying on a downward trajectory. And then the craft actually picks the nose up and takes off again. And I don't remember what the third one. Oh, the third one I was filming on the beach with a 4K camera and a FLIR. I'm sorry, a 4K camera and a night vision camera. And over the ocean, one of these giant
Hmm.
orbs of light illuminate, and it shined a very bright light right in my direction. The ocean lit up with light. All of a sudden, the craft turns to the side and slowly takes off. And the best part about this was right above it was an airplane or a helicopter. And you could see the FAA strobe light on that thing. But on the actual craft, you do not. Yes, this video right here.
Yep, that's it.
Let me play it real quick.
So again, we have what you're looking at right now. That purple light is the night vision, and the one to the top left is a 4K camera. These are two cameras running side by side simultaneously. The night vision camera, so that blinking light right there is a helicopter.
Hmm.
That helicopter is flying towards the light to see what it is. That light was visible for about 10 minutes, that bright purple light over the ocean. And I'm trying to figure out what it is. And this is, I live on the beach, so I'm very familiar with the area, never seen it before.
And
And
it does move.
oh, it does move. When that thing lit up and it shined that light right at me, the ocean lit up. And then it very slowly takes off to the left and just vanishes out of frame, just totally dematerializes. Just amazing. And again, we have all this software that we look up to tell us if it's a satellite, if it's a plane, if it's a helicopter. And very clearly, I looked up on flight radar and I found that helicopter there and another plane in the area. But the third object, the round object, was not on any tracking software. It was just none to be found.
So that's a helicopter too, right?
That is a small Cessna airplane, and the
Oh,
one that flew before it was a helicopter.
oh yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. Get it. So now it moves.
Yes,
Yeah, look at it.
Wow.
It starts
Wow.
cruising. You
just
would
starts
think it was
cruising.
a lighthouse. When he first sent it to me, I'm like, that looks like a lighthouse shining
I'm
its
like,
light and like,
there's no lighthouse there.
yeah,
Wow.
wild.
Really, really crazy. And the intensity of the light that had shown in my direction lit the whole ocean lit up.
The
Like I
camera
could,
doesn't justify it.
yeah,
I've
yeah, yeah.
seen Crass power up, and Anthony actually says in the video, and I said the same thing during the similar thing I saw. It looks like a miniature sun in
Done.
the
Yes.
sky.
Yeah.
It's insane.
When the thing lit up, I actually cursed. I said, "Holy beep!" And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I had a few people on the beach with me using the camera to look. Oh, what are you looking at? Here, check this out. And they were looking. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. It was really,
Mhm.
really one of those aha moments.
So do you
And
have
this was just last week.
Yeah,
do you
last week.
are there a lot of witness reports on this thing
Well,
here?
the four people I had on the beach, two of them are my neighbors. So at any time, I can get them to give testimony on it. But I was just out on the beach with the dog and the cameras, just out there having a good time, just hanging out really with the cameras. Really wasn't out there to do any research. Just was out calibrating my cameras and it happened. Like Robert was saying earlier, these things happen all the time, all the time. So you always have to be prepared. I always try to have my cameras with me now everywhere I go.
I do not step out at nighttime without my camera. It's to
No
the point
more.
before I open up the door, I already have my video on my phone going,
Ready to
set to
go.
high exposure. I'm ready because I've captured so many amazing things, and I have my dog on the leash. He's taking a poop. He's shaking, pulling it. I'm trying to hold still, trying to record this thing and checking apps, and that's how it goes when you
You,
least expect it.
you want to see
Worst timing.
something? You want to see something really cool? Look at the video with the it looks like it's green, like a green box, but just muted because it has music. That's a bona fide plasma orb over the
I know
ocean
which
that I
one.
filmed
Th-
traveling.
That
Yeah.
one?
Oh yeah,
Yep.
Let me roll the tape.
This is an actual plasma orb.
Wow.
beautiful.
Wow. So where is it exactly?
And there's a
Okay.
satellite in the background. Did you
Yeah,
see
Yeah.
that?
I saw that. Yeah.
So this is in low Earth orbit. This is in low Earth orbit in space. Okay. And when I tracked this object, I saw two other satellites in the area, and but not this object. So in this video, you'll see two satellites pass. You'll see one very faint ball pass and go up, and another one passes down and to the left. And then there's this. This is in space, and it is so bright that you could see the circular light on the ocean shining as it's traveling. Keep in mind, this may look like it's going slow, but it's going thousands of miles per hour, and it's a couple 100 feet wide.
A
Just picture
couple
that.
100 feet wide.
Wide. It's about 200 feet wide. It's like a football field in the sky.
It's
Wow.
That's how
massive.
big. Massive, massive. Now, I live exactly 200 feet from the ocean. So I'm literally in my backyard watching this fly over the ocean right now. That's the top of my house right there.
Again, sorry, you filmed it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's my house. That's my roof.
Wow.
And you see the colors?
Yeah, no, it changes color. Yeah, could this be some kind of effect from the camera lens, maybe the coloration?
No, well, yes, the blue light that you see right now is the effect. That is not the real color. The real color of the object is like a reddish, I want to say like a reddish green, maybe. And it undulates, which means it's like this pulse of circulating light inside of it. Okay. And the reason why you're seeing it in blue now is because I'm filming straight up as it's
Yeah.
over me. And then as it comes toward my house and the night vision picks up a different light spectrum where it's clearer for it to operate, that's when you see the color night vision kick in and you see the natural color of the object.
Yeah. And also to add, it would be a perfect time to make this note, Daniel, especially if you end up showing the video. The first UAP that Anthony and I tracked together, the same craft, we both saw a red massive orb. I
Yes,
recorded it on my phone 4K 30 frames per second. He recorded it on his camera. On his camera, it's a slightly different color because that form of night vision does change the color. It doesn't, now the brightness is what you see, but the
right,
colors of the night vision. So Anthony and I, we can see the same red object on his night vision. It will look bluish white, something of that nature, or like a pinkish. And then on my camera, which is 4K, visible eye spectrum, it will be a large yellowish red glowing orb. So
correct,
eventually, when you show that video, that's important to note because people watch the videos and they say,
indeed,
why is it red in Robert's video? And why is
right.
it this color in
Two,
Anthony's?
two
It's
different,
the
two different,
spectrums.
two different color spectrums. And I'm also sending you. I just sent you right now the object that you see on the FLIR camera when the night vision and the FLIR camera
Mm.
are side by side, filming the same section of sky at the same time. The night vision does not pick up the object, but the FLIR camera picks up the object, and they're literally side by side, filming the same point in the sky.
You can actually see the clouds. If you look
Yeah,
closely, you can see the
you
same
can
thin
match.
layer of clouds
Right,
drifting over.
So if that thing had uh the size of a football field,
massive.
so Don't tell me nobody else witnessed it. This should be all over the
Oh, I'm
news, right?
sure.
It should
Listen,
be.
we would love every one of these sightings to get on the news. See, America is very fickle with what they put on the news. The only time they put UFO stuff on the news is when everybody's talking about it. When there's a
Yeah.
UFO hearing, when it's in the forefront of everybody's mind, then they're interested. Otherwise, they're just not interested.
Or when it's not a UFO. They love to tell people things are UFOs
And
only
they're
to
not.
disprove it because, haha, everyone fell
Yeah.
for it. You're dumb if you believe in it. They do that
Right.
all the time. Now,
Yeah.
if Anthony and I, if we recorded an airplane, it would probably go viral. But
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we're capturing things backed by data and evidence that is truly unexplainable, they're not going to promote that. The truth does not get promoted. The lies do.
But I will say this: I've been in a couple UFO documentaries. One of them is on Amazon right now, called Transmedium,
Oh yeah.
that by Darcy Weir. We filmed that here on Staten Island on my beach, and there's actually a UFO over the ocean that I filmed over a military base out here, Fort Earl Naval Weapons Station, and it's an orange cone of light that's only visible in the night vision spectrum. And I mean, we reached out to the military base to find out if they were testing anything, and you just never get any answers from them. I tried for 3 years, and there was quite a few witnesses to that, and we put it in the documentary because the data that went along with it, and so many witnesses seen it over the ocean. So it was pretty fascinating. But yeah, I've been in a few big documentaries. My research is well respected in the states. I will say that, and so is Robert's. That's why we work very well together, research wise. And
Yeah.
Michael, our other partner who's not here, who's an engineer and a scientist, he builds a lot of this equipment himself. He's just a brain. He's just brilliant.
Well, we
He's a
should.
Bigfoot guy.
Yeah,
Big
he
Bigfoot guy.
he investigates UFOs, the paranormal, Bigfoot. He does it all. Yeah.
I should talk to him too.
Oh, he
Interesting.
would. You would
Yeah,
love to talk to him. He's brilliant.
you would love it.
I'm sure you guys are aware of this so-called rubber duck UFO, right?
Of course, actually, my friend is the one that brought that video out from the what department was that? What government department? I can't even remember. It was
Arrow?
no, 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 no. It was
Oh,
the Border Patrol. The Border Patrol
oh,
video.
okay.
Uh, yeah, my friend Andrew, he has a show called New York UAP Discussion,
I've talked to him
and
on my show. Yeah, he told me about it.
he was in the documentary with me with Darcy. So Andrew's a very good friend of mine, and he's the one that brought that UFO out to the world.
There was a bit of a struggle too. He told me he was very angry because people, yeah, they didn't take
Yeah,
it so well, right?
right. And it's from a federal agent from the Border Patrol who filmed that on a Border Patrol security guidance system, a tracking system that they track drug smugglers with. And they had no idea what it was. The agent, the first time Andrew got the video, the agent actually filmed the computer because he was afraid to send the video from the computer to him. So he just filmed it with his phone. And then I guess after Andrew showed him he's a trustworthy guy, which he is, he's a great guy. I love
Yeah.
Andrew. Um, Brilliant. He gained the guy's trust and he sent him the actual video. And when the world got a hold of that, here's what happens: you get half the people that believe it and they can't believe what they see. And then you get people that are jealous that it wasn't them that put the video out. So they'll just bash it and act like it's no good. And then you get people that'll be like, it's a balloon or it's this or it's that or it's another man made object. So you have those three groups of people you got to deal with. But I will tell you from speaking to government officials that seen this, it's a bona fide unidentified flying object. This branch of government sees these things all the time. They're very familiar with balloons look like on their tracking equipment. They're very familiar with planes and smuggling drones look like and all the other stuff that these narcos use. They're very abreast to those situations. This, they had no clue. And then it goes out over the water, these objects as well, a lot of the time. And then they go transmedium where you don't see them, where they look like they go in the water and out of the water. So
And so did
that's
the
fascinating.
rubber the jellyfish UFO too,
The
right?
jellyfish UFO as well. Yes, in and out of the water. Water plays a big component with UFO objects. The vast majority of the UFOs that I film are over water or coming out from the sky and entering into the ocean. The vast majority
Same.
of the ones I work with.
And where I live in New Jersey, I'm essentially on a peninsula. I have a river to the right of me, I have a bay to the south of me, and I have the ocean to the left of me. And where Anthony is, his backyard, where he is in Staten Island, he has so much water
The
around
ocean.
him. We're
Yeah.
both have a lot of water around us. And then I have a nuclear plant. And for me, the nuclear plant draws a lot of strange, unusual activity. I'm not sure the
Right.
reasoning behind it, maybe gamma rays. I don't know, but there is a lot of activity around the nuclear plant. But nuclear plants are found by water. They need
That's
to
right.
be near water to operate.
Right. To
So,
keep the fuel
like,
rods cool.
it's the water, you know?
Yeah.
Something.
Water is a main component with UFO sightings.
It's a
I,
conductor.
it's yeah, well, maybe they use it to operate their craft. Maybe they don't have it
Mhm.
on their planet and it's a necessity. I don't know, but they're always found by water. Always.
And if you want to hide, where would you hide?
The ocean, right?
In the
What a great
ocean.
place.
Deep down in the ocean or inside a mountain or something like that. So
Yep.
where would you hide?
We we have explored more of space than we have of the Earth's oceans.
Right,
True.
right.
So
It
keep that
makes
in mind.
totally sense. Makes totally
Absolutely.
sense.
And just recently, former United States Navy General Tim Gallaudet, he was also in this documentary with me. When he was a rear admiral for the Navy, they actually tracked underwater submerged UFOs, USOs under the ocean, submarines. There's actual documentation from submarines of craft doing like 700 knots under the ocean, going faster than the submarines, actually circling them under the ocean. Now, we don't have anything that can do that. None of our adversaries have anything that can do that. So, what else could it be?
Ugh.
That's a very interesting fact that they move very, very fast
Certainly.
underwater. That's very interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's hard to move underwater. We've all been swimming. You know how
Yeah.
hard it is to run when you're waist high in water, how slow you are? Now
Very
imagine a
difficult.
craft.
Yeah. Or another
It's
example, I saw people shooting guns into water, shooting bullets into water, and yeah,
How fast they stop.
exactly.
how fast they
Right.
slow down. Yeah. Interesting. It's very interesting. Even though they have the perfect shape, but they slow down.
Correct. It's a whole different it's the buoyancy system when you're in the water. So you're fighting the inertia and the buoyancy at the same time. And it just seems like these craft, these unidentified flying objects and unidentified submerged objects have this system figured out better than we do.
Mhm.
Comes down to it.
But
And it
guys,
seems like not just water, you know, there's been so many videos of these crafts going in and out of active volcanoes. You know,
right.
volcanoes, lava. So if they can travel through lava, if they
They
can
could travel
travel
through
through
anything.
oceans, through the universe, what can't they travel through?
Yeah.
Because I want to know because that's how we trap them.
That's yeah, you're right. You're right.
One of the biggest questions for me is what is their intention? Why are they here? What they're looking for? What do they do? Why are they going into into volcanoes? What's the reason behind that? So,
Maybe they're on an exploration mission, right? The same thing that we do when we visit another planet. We drill, we try to check the soil, we check rocks, we check for water, we check for what rare earth elements are on there, gold, silver, platinum, all that stuff. Maybe they do the same thing when they come here. Honestly, I think if they were going to be hostile and try to hurt us, it would have happened already. They've been
already,
coming here since biblical times.
no
I
doubt about
mean,
that.
the technology that they have, it would have been point, set, match, game over, checkmate a long time ago. I don't think that's what their intentions are. Maybe we're the test. Maybe our DNA was mixed with their DNA, and this is one big petri dish that they're studying, and they come back and forth to see how we advance over time. There's so many different things that it could be, but I don't think it's anything nefarious. I really don't.
I
And to Anthony's point, a quirky little theory, you know, and we don't know anything for sure, but you know, what he was alluding at is, you know, these beings to come here and to come to Earth is almost like looking into your ancient past. And if we had the opportunity, wouldn't we love to go back to the 1900s, to 1600s to see how it was, to learn about our own evolution of how humanity has evolved to the point we are? Well, for them, coming here to Earth could be seeing themselves, 6,000 years prior. And there may be things that their cultures have lost in the process of their evolution, and they may find it interesting. Or they might think Daniel's just a very pretty man and they want to see your beautiful face and they're interested, or they have stock. Value is extremely important, and as Anthony was also alluding to, was the genetic stock. Genetics is the currency of creation and the universe.
Absolutely.
Genetics is extremely valuable. That's why scientists only understand 3% of our DNA, but they call the rest junk
Junk
because it's
DNA,
not
yeah.
important. It was just accidentally put there. No, there's a reason it's there. Just because scientists don't understand it, I believe these beings may have a better comprehension of it.
Absolutely. Well said, Robert.
Maybe they're not from out there. Maybe
They're
we
from
They're
talk
here.
from here.
maybe they're from here. Maybe we talk about an long lost civilization that
Yep.
found a way to exist
Elsewhere.
on a,
Hmm.
elsewhere. Maybe, yeah, maybe they, I don't know, maybe they
People,
managed quantum physics and
yeah.
It,
found a
it,
way to yeah
there's
exist on
running,
another realm.
there's theories that Earth has existed the way it exists now many times and has been wiped out
Yeah,
many a times. And each time it got wiped out, we had to start over again. And we get to a point and technology gets so advanced and we wipe ourselves out and then start over again, pick up the pieces, start over again. Maybe these beings are, like you said, a lost civilization that had to flee Earth at one time. And now, Earth, after millions of years, it's repopulated, regenerated. There's a new species, human, on it. And now they're coming back to visit and see what their old planet has turned into. It could be that too. There's so many different ways you could go with this, but they're all just as interesting.
Yeah.
do you
And
think
so many people, real quick, so many people, they always say, what's the evidence of extraterrestrials? How do you know they are real? I want to see proof. Why isn't there any proof? And I always tell people, look in the mirror. Go look in the mirror. You want to see intelligent design? I believe human beings is the greatest proof of extraterrestrials that we have here on the planet because you can touch it. You can look at yourself right in the mirror. Better than 4K quality. Absolutely crystal clear. I believe we came from extraterrestrial origin. We are extraterrestrials that forgot we were extraterrestrials.
Well, the fact that we exist proves that life will exist elsewhere. There is,
Hmm.
there's, how can I put it? Okay, so there's more stars and planets than there are grains of sand on the world's beaches. With that being said, life has to continue elsewhere. It just has to. There's no way, it's improbable to think that we're the only life forms on this planet. There's just no way.
It's
It's impossible.
mathematical.
Yeah, it's mathematical. There's just no way.
but it's our math.
Yeah, it's our math, but just look how vast space is when you look out into the universe. You honestly think that we're the only ones in it?
I really do think this could be a possibility. There could be a bigger reason behind it. I don't know. It's just a theory, of course. Of course, I think there is somebody out there, but also it could be that we are the only ones for some kind of reason, maybe to keep us uh, evolving and keep us going on.
Mm.
And what would be if we knew for a fact that there's nobody out there? Everything would change, right? Everything would change.
Absolutely.
Everything would stand
Yeah.
still
Absolutely.
here. Nobody would do research anymore, research the universe anymore and stuff like that. So we
Absolutely.
wouldn't evolve. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe we are the ones who are made to, yeah, maybe we're meant to spread out there.
Very possible. We're the beginning, you're saying? Maybe we're the beginning of it all.
We are the
And then
beginning of a,
eventually we're meant
that's
to
a crazy theory, but right,
still a
exactly. That's
theory.
exactly what I
Good
mean.
theory.
Do you
Good theory.
think, do you think that an alien civilization from God knows where, out there, and they have the ability to travel interstellar space, right? Maybe let's say they are a million years ahead, just to throw a number out there. Do you think they still have wars, greed, and money and
I
religion?
doubt it. I highly doubt it.
So, right, it's not our time yet, and it's not our time
Hmm.
that they come here and say, "Hey, here we are." If they are out there, that's what I think. Even if they're out there, they only visit us to, like you said, to explore and do research and stuff. If I don't know, but we're talking about disclosure and what we have and stuff, and people discuss they might be here and also already are in contact with the government and stuff like that. I do not think so.
I don't either.
We are still raging wars and we are fighting over books, man, religion. We're killing each
Hmm.
other over books and stuff. I think a civilization that has the ability to travel maybe time and space, interstellar space, and found a way to come here from God knows where, they don't have problems like that anymore. So that's
Yeah.
why I think if they are real, they're not hostile. They
Right.
want us no harm, but they don't want to talk to us either because
Yep.
what for?
Look how we are. Look how we are.
And
We're a violent race.
non-intervention, non-intervention. It's always been kind of underlying theory that spirituality and technology must rise together because, as Daniel was stating, there's so much negativity, and we're going after each other, human beings fighting human beings. How could we possibly ever accept anything other than that when we can't accept ourselves? And to allow a civilization that is not spiritually and technology to that point yet to go out into the universe, you are basically sending a very dangerous weapon. And as Daniel alluded to, that we just got to figure it out for ourselves. Until
Exactly.
that point of our spirituality and our technology must go
Match.
hand in hand. Too much technology, we're done. Too much spirituality, we're done. It must be hand in hand, and we must, as a society, as a world, as a species, come to that point. And until we get to that point, we're never going to get to the other point.
And
Agreed.
to add something more, I don't think that we are the generation or a civilization that will make it. I think we will go down somewhere, and maybe next ones after us,
Very possible.
maybe they will make it
Hopefully,
because we have AI now, and AI could be very. Yeah. I know it's this topic, but I think that yeah, we're fucked basically. Think
AI
about
is a tool. It's a tool. It can be used for bad or good, but we use everything for bad. It's
Yeah.
human
right.
nature.
We use it. Yeah, we use it for war purposes. We use it for and the entertainment industry. Don't get me started, entertainment industry when it comes to AI. So we're getting dumber and dumber.
Yes.
Hmm.
That's so crazy. Augmented reality, virtual reality, uh, video game. Everybody's playing video games now. Nobody reads books anymore.
It bothers me so much,
Oh
Daniel.
yeah,
It
right.
kills me.
Man. Sometimes
It really kills me.
my wife says I sound like an old man because we did stuff back then too. But
So,
yeah,
so does my wife.
but
Listen,
I'm
I
an
I
might
old
read,
say
man.
I read all the time.
it's an evolution. Maybe it has to be. We can't stop it. It's and I'm fine with it, right?
Daniel,
But it
all
bothers me a little
day,
bit.
my daughter comes home from school. She's like this all day on the phone.
Yeah, my daughter too.
I'm like, honey, go read a book. Go learn something. Educate yourself. This is not education. This is poison. You're poisoning your brain.
Yeah, watching TikTok
You're rotting
videos.
your
Yeah,
brain. TikTok
700.
is stupidity.
Yeah.
It's nonsense. I mean, it's crazy to me. And as you was, I really fear for the advancement of this world. When I look at these kids today, all on their phone, they don't even go outside and play anymore. When we were kids, we were outside building forts, playing manhunt, having fun, building things, building clubhouses, just having fun, right? Using our hands. These kids don't even know how to put gas in a car, change oil. They're clueless. It's really frightening.
They
It's
want
really frightening.
robots to do everything for them. And with the
Right.
rise of AI, that's terrifying. When you don't have that will to do things for yourself, that allows a possibility for something else to take over that will at that point, you lose your free will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Uh,
scary to think where we're going to be in 100 years.
sometimes I
I
really
won't be here.
sometimes I agree with my wife. Sometimes I sound like an old man, but because I was young too at one point, and people and my parents complained about stuff that I did when I played on
Of
my
course.
my NES or my Amiga 500 or whatever
Yep.
I had, or Atari in the 80s. But now it's but it's different though. So now, what happens to your brain if you watch 700 TikTok videos a day? What happens to your brain? What
It
happens?
rots. It
It's not.
rots.
You don't learn from it. Maybe you learn how to, I don't know, bake a
Be
pie or something like that. But
stupid. You learn how to be dumb.
Do you see how short the attention span is today? If a video is longer than a minute and a half, there's no interest. The
Hmm.
attention span's dropped. It's really crazy. It's sad, is what it is, and I blame the parents for allowing it. I really do.
you can't stop it. Yeah, yeah. You could blame the parents, but it's
You can certainly limit it as a parent.
it's not.
I take the phone away now from my kid.
You can limit it, but there's there's much more to it. Because it starts in school, right? Everybody has an iPhone. I have to get an iPhone.
Yep.
Because you're not cool if you don't have an iPhone. Of course, you don't
Hmm.
want your kid to be to be the strange kid or the uncool kid. So you buy an iPhone. Oh,
Yeah.
everybody's allowed
Hmm.
to watch TikTok videos. Dad, I want to watch TikTok videos. So okay, let's wait until you, I don't know, 13. Then you can download TikTok videos. So and now you have a kid watching TikTok videos all day. So the kids, they're afraid that they miss something, or they are behind and they get uh mobbed or whatever. It's nuts. It's not so easy to keep kids away from that stuff these days, because everybody's a PlayStation. Everybody has this virtual reality goggles and stuff like that. Yeah,
But
it's
look what they're
crazy.
teaching the kids today on TikTok, and they're telling 3 and 4 year olds, if you feel like a cat, then identify as a cat. If
Oh,
you
don't
feel
get me
like
started on that
I
one.
mean, like
Ooh.
teachers in America right now, if a kid identifies as a cat, they will identify you as a cat in America. That is insanity to me. I'm sorry. That's just
Hmm.
insanity. Makes no sense.
Oh, the gender discussion is pretty big over here
Don't,
too. I
please don't
don't.
even get me started.
No, 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 no. Because
And also a
I'm raging.
point to the AI and all that. It's a shame, and I believe this why in the education system in school, children, I believe, should be taught discernment, understanding of technology. Because here's the kicker. We have amazing technology. We have the capability to look up something from any point of history and read every single paper, book, and article on it. We have the capability to look up any math problem, solve any equation, to build anything we can possibly imagine. Yet children are being taught to watch TikTok videos when in reality they could go on the internet and become geniuses.
Yep.
So this is an educational problem. It's not, technology is just a tool. AI is just a tool. It can be good or bad. And this is why it's so important that, like, as you know, schools around the world, there really needs to be education on how to use technology safely and appropriately. But they're not doing that. They're, like you said, guilt tripping these children. You're not cool if you don't have this.
Right.
And parents just handing them a phone with no rules or understanding or explaining pornography and how it attacks you. And this is a fake profile and there's bad people on the internet. They need to teach this in school. Forget talking about drugs and alcohol. That's important. But I think the new threat for the future is learning how to use technology appropriately. I think that is probably the most alarming thing children need to learn for sure.
Yeah.
What's scary is that I think they want it to be that way. They create sheeps,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
Bah, bah.
Sheeple. You're absolutely right, man.
Sheeple.
They create sheeps, yeah. But we went away from the UAP topic, guys.
That's all right.
Even though it was interesting, I want to
It's
take a
all
look.
connected.
It's all connected. Yeah, right. It is connected. Let's take a look at the last video you just sent me.
Yeah. So the one on the left
Oh,
is the FLIR footage. and
Oh, oh
there's
yeah.
the object. And now the video on the right is going the same time, but you only see it on the FLIR, not the night vision.
Ah, all right, I get it. Oh yeah. Oh, well, that's interesting. So,
And then it'll pop up the FLIR. You'll see a bigger image. Now it'll play again, and you really get to
That's
see
the
it.
corner of Anthony's house, the
Yeah,
corner of his house there.
it's only
I
because the FLIR camera is closer to the house, and the night vision's a little further away.
got a lot of stuff going on over your house, right?
There's a lot of activity over the ocean. A lot of activity over the ocean. I mean, you could go out every night and catch two or three things that you can't explain.
Hmm.
Doesn't
So,
necessarily mean they're alien. It just means that they're at this time they're unexplainable.
so
Hmm.
who do you send these videos to? We talked about envelope and stuff. Do you send these videos out and maybe
Oh
get
yeah, I mean,
expertise on it or something like that?
sure. I mean, well, our partner worked for MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could send it out to Mark D'Antonio, who's the head computer guy for the History Channel. I send it out to all different kinds of friends that I have that are in the field to take a look and do analysis on all the time. I never just
And
take
we
something.
share it on platforms, that
Right,
makes it public to the world, but you got to wait until someone takes interest in it. If people aren't
correct.
interested, they're not interested, regardless of how phenomenal. I cannot tell you how many times Anthony and I have recorded something and we're like, this is groundbreaking, mind blown. And we put it up there
And
and
people just don't care.
crickets. No one cares. And we're like, what's going on? So at the end of the day, you just need the right people to find it. And that's why Anthony and I, we ask scientists, we ask astronomers, we ask debunkers. Please debunk our videos. We would love to see you try.
I
Bring
talk
it
to Mick.
on.
I talk to Mick West all the time. I'm sending Mick
Oh,
West
all
things
right.
to try to debunk all the time. Do me a favor, debunk it. Tell me where.
Mhm.
Tell me what I'm not seeing. Help me out here. I want you to do that. Do
Yeah,
that. I always ask if you could debunk it, because I have no idea what it is that means. I
yeah.
don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, how do
We
you
want
debug?
answers, even if we don't like the answers. We want
Right,
the truth.
Yeah, I
right.
was about to say, how do you debunk a football field-sized orb in the
Oh,
atmosphere?
it's
Difficult, but
easy.
you'd be
Swamp gas,
surprised.
balloon,
Yeah, swamp
a
gas,
flock of
mylar
birds.
balloon. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
A
Yeah,
flock of birds. It was a bird
yeah.
migration. Tons of birds were migrating. And at that exact time, at that exact degree, the moonlight was reflecting off of a bunch of birds flying over the ocean. And that's what created that image.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Now give me
They,
the money.
yeah, yeah,
Somebody
yeah.
somebody said about the jellyfish UFO, it was bird poop on the lens.
Oh, see? Bird
Actually,
poop. That's a new one.
I heard that, yeah.
the best answer that I've heard was it was the Muslim holiday called Eid, and there's certain balloons that they use like half moons and stars, and they got all these frizzy balloons on the bottom. And somebody actually found this exact set of balloons that matched exactly
Iftar.
what it looked like. Thank you. And
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
could it be that? I don't know, because I've filmed balloons before in night vision and they look different than that image looked. So I don't think it was Mylar balloons, because the imagery just doesn't look like it to
No,
me.
no, I don't
Yeah.
think so too. I'm in the midst of building myself an all sky camera. This is the brand. Um, I want to
Oh,
observe the sky too. Yeah, I've bought an acrylic dome and a little box, and I put this astro camera into this box, and
Yeah.
and with this fisheye lens, I can observe the sky like 24/7. This is what the camera looks like. It's just a little
Oh, that's
astro
different.
camera. You can put it into your telescope, but you can use it for these purposes too. Found a lot of videos on YouTube how to build the all sky camera, and you can have your own
I have to check that out.
24/7 night sky
Observatory.
and day sky
Yeah.
observatory for, I mean, the camera, what does it cost? It's a cheap camera, $60, and the acrylic dome like $20. And so you have for $100 and free software, you can have your 24/7, yeah, sky observation day and
No
night.
way.
Yeah.
And can you zoom with the camera as well?
Yeah. I think inside in the software you can zoom
In
in
the
and out.
app you
Yeah,
can,
yeah, yeah.
like, my security, I recently bought a security camera, but it's not the best quality, but it's a Waze camera and you can have it running, and some nights I put out there to have it running, and in the app, Anthony, I'm actually able to zoom in during
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
live
yeah.
recording. You can
Oh,
zoom in, but it records the normal size all the time, but
yeah,
you
yeah,
do
yeah.
have the option to zoom
To
in.
zoom in.
Yeah.
That's
That's
cool,
cool.
Daniel.
Yeah,
Let
he
me
have
tell
a
you, Daniel,
yeah.
if you get the opportunity when that camera's set up, focus it towards Orion's belt. Look in that section of the sky. It's
Mm.
very busy. I guarantee you, you're going to get something that you can't identify.
Yeah.
I'll put money on it.
I will report on that. Definitely, I will report on
I would
that.
love to know.
Yeah, it's an interesting project, and I stumbled across it on YouTube by accident, and I thought, man, I want that too. And I went to eBay right away, bought this camera, $60. Fuck, man, I'm getting the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And yeah, like I said, $100, and you have your own all-sky camera, and it's pretty
that's
good
awesome.
quality. Even if you zoom in inside the software, it's pretty good because it's an Astro camera. Yeah, it's
Oh
What
wow.
what what
interesting.
is it running on? Like 1080p, 4K, 7P, 720p? Do you know what it is?
I think this one is 4K, but
Oh, that's
Oh
that's gonna be
wow.
beautiful.
Wow.
I
For
think so.
Beautiful.
$60?
You can't beat that. You
I'm
cannot beat
getting that camera after we get done chatting. Now you're talking my price range. I'm the
Yeah,
poor guy of the group, so
I,
that.
I'm poor. Yeah,
I
that's why
need
I bought this one. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I need to capture UFOs on a budget, you know. I'm like the Wish.com version of UFO hunters.
He's
So
The Timu UFO hunter. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
the Timu.
it's a easy way to maybe catch something. Why not? Maybe I showed you the picture
Absolutely.
before. The picture I took or the video I took with my cell phone from the alleged triangle.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a great shot.
yeah, that's a great shot. Maybe I can show it for the audience.
Yep.
We can have a
Oh
look at
yeah,
it for the
please.
audience for the uh
You can clearly tell that it's triangular just
Yeah.
from the way the shape goes in.
yeah, for the audience. German audience saw it already, but maybe
I love this picture.
And believe me, Anthony and we have seen triangle
Yeah.
crafts, sometimes a little too close and definitely way too personal.
Yeah.
And I can
Look
tell
at
you
that.
that is a triangular craft. And I would even speculate that that is not a TR3B, the
Without a
how
doubt, no.
thin it is. It and that structure and the thickness and that solid black, no shininess to it. And it's daytime, so I don't know if we would be able to see lights or spots for
You know what it
lights, but
reminds me of? Aurora. The Aurora
yeah,
pro that
what is
style.
yeah.
what is Aurora?
Aurora is an alleged military craft that's triangular like that. So, in other words, it's alleged for many years that the United States government developed a stealth technology called Aurora that is the triangular UFO, basically.
Oh, okay.
Do I
But a
have?
little bit more and a longer, like, the TR3Bs, they were perfect triangles, perfect. Some other ones, can vary, but I don't know. My gut instinct with that one, it would have been interesting to see it at night to see what kind of lights were on it, or if who knows, maybe there was no lights. Um,
Well, the
but
one I saw back then, it had rounded edges, and there was one light in the middle. No other lights, no propulsion, no sound.
yeah,
So
one light in the middle,
I
huh?
actually have a model right here, Daniel.
this is what I saw. Yeah,
I think this is what you saw right here.
this
What
is
you
what I
took
saw.
a picture of.
If in the no, I think yours has three lights underneath, right?
Well, this is yeah.
Mine had
Each
just one in the middle, one small one in the middle,
so just have one in the middle.
a small one, like the one on the edges here. But the edges were
Like on this side, because this is double sided. So the way it looks on this side,
smaller. But yeah,
okay.
I'd say smaller, but it was way up there, so can't confirm like
But that's
exactly,
this is
but
probably what you've seen, something very similar to this.
exactly, yeah, it was looked exactly like that, like the edges, rounded edges and stuff. Yeah, this is what I saw. Interesting,
Now,
interesting. It was
Anthony, tell him what that is.
1996. Well, it
Well,
was
in
1996.
1993, I had an encounter with this exact craft. And I was 13 years old. I was dirt bike riding in the woods, and I had stopped. I was covered in dirt and mud, and I had stopped, took water out of my school bag to like wash my face and get the dirt out of my mouth from riding the motorcycle. And when I looked up, there was one of these triangular craft coming in, like very slowly coming down. And like I kind of like wiped my eyes, like I couldn't believe what I was seeing. At first, I thought it was maybe the stealth bomber because that was the big thing going on back then, the stealth bomber. And it just stopped dead in the sky. And I'm watching this thing, and all of a sudden, a second triangle detaches from it, and they sit side by side, and they slowly rotate, very slowly counterclockwise next to each other. And the whole time I'm watching this, like, holy shit, what the hell is that? And I'm looking around for my buddies that were dirt bike riding me, like nobody's around. And the next thing, the one that popped off slowly goes back and they connect to each other. And you kind of see them like still moving, but connecting and like kind of like look like they were locking into position. And then very slowly, it just goes straight back up into the sky till I couldn't see it no more. And as soon as it was gone and out of sight, the next thing I heard was my father screaming my name on the top of his lungs. Then my mom and my sister and my neighbors, everybody was looking for me. I lost 5 hours of missing time. So I
Wow.
saw that at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Nobody found me till 5 o'clock in the evening. And still to this day, I swear to God, I was standing in the same exact spot that I didn't move. And my parents told me that they walked past that spot hundreds of times. They thought I had an accident on my motorcycle in the woods riding. I mean, I was only a kid. And I think it was like 1997 when the Phoenix Lights incident happened. And we were all down watching the news. And I told my parents, this is what I seen. This triangular kind of object. This is what I seen over the woods. And ever since then, I fully immersed myself in trying to figure out what's going on here with the UFOs. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I've witnessed it. I've had missing time that I cannot explain. I can even tell you what the texture of the craft looked like. It was like this rock. This is what the texture of the object. This is what the texture of the object looked like. The skin of it.
Okay. Wow.
Thing made no sound. So you explain to me how something so big can make no sound, and furthermore to the point, how I lost missing time. And
Hmm.
I've spoken to many, many, many experts about missing time, and it happens a lot in UFO encounters. Like when you have a bona fide close encounter of, the second or third or even fourth kind, missing time is a major factor. When I came to, and my dad's like, "You should have been home hours ago. It's 5 o'clock." I didn't believe him. I could I didn't even wrap my head around like the sun was in a different position. It was getting darker out. Like it didn't even hit me yet. You know what I mean? Still to this day, I can't wrap my head around it. I can't explain it. But well, I could tell you, it happened. Other people witnessed this triangular craft on Staten Island at the same time, so I'm not the only one. I don't know if anybody else had missing time, but when something like that happens, like Robert was saying earlier, you go down this rabbit hole and you just want to absorb as much information as you possibly can. And I'm not, like I was saying earlier when we met, I'm not some nut job. I was a cop. I was like a police officer my whole life. I dedicated my life to protecting and serving. I was down at the World Trade Center for 9/11. I have a lot of awards and commendations. I'm a highly decorated officer. And it happens. These things
Hmm.
happen and they're totally unexplainable. And again, that's why I immerse myself in my research to try to figure out what's going on. I really want to know.
Wow. What
Hmm.
an intense encounter, man. Crazy.
Very intense. Very intense.
Very, yeah. Thank you for sharing
And
it
then I
also.
had
Yeah, thanks for
something
letting me.
similar, you know,
Yeah, share
something
it.
similar.
Share it
April
with us.
21st, 1991, in southern New Jersey, a town called Lower Alloways Creek. My family, it was raining the night of the incident. My aunt lived directly next door, and my aunt was getting ready for bed, and she went into her bedroom. And out of the back window above the tree, there was a very long, thin, black triangular object with three blue lights on the corners of it and a white light in the center of it. My aunt was watching this object, and she decided to go to her bedroom and call my mother, my house that was directly next door. She calls my mother, and our phone was in the back of the kitchen, the old phones, the landlines. We didn't have cell phones or cameras or anything like that back then. And my mother picks up the phone, and my aunt is saying my mother's name, Beth Ann, Beth Ann, look out the back window. There's something just levitating there, hovering there. This object was absolutely silent, as Anthony said about his craft as well. And what was eerie was how completely still this object was in the air. It's abnormal to see something so large. Even a
Right.
helicopter in the air has a little wobble to it, like a leaf effect, you know what I mean? But to see something perfectly still in the air that large, and it was raining the night of this
Scary.
incident, and as Anthony showed that rock, my craft was a little different from what Anthony saw, but it was still like it looked like an organic, almost like a meteorite. It looked like the
Yeah.
craft was made out of a meteorite.
Organic
That's
material. That's
yeah,
exactly right, Robert. Organic
yeah.
material is the perfect. And back to what you were saying earlier, like these crafts could be alive. That could be the being itself. And
Exomaterials,
craft,
bro.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
exomaterials. There
yeah,
you
yeah.
go. Yeah, it's
And they exomaterials, certain ones, and our government does know about this. Certain exomaterials can bend and alter the fabric of reality and
thank
time,
you.
and that's been published and documented. But my family, we were watching this. My mother, she says, "Oh my God, what is that?" At the time, my mother was watching a baseball game with two of her friends. I was upstairs in my room. I was actually in bed. And when my mom started screaming, "Oh my God, what is it? What is it? What is it?" Her two friends got up off the couch and ran over. And I heard the commotion of the women screaming, "What is it? What is it?" And I stood on top of my bed and I also witnessed this. And I was extremely young. I was 3.5 years old. Just coming to terms with reality, just starting to talk all of this. And as we are watching this craft, all of a sudden, some sort of ball of light or beam of light came down onto the craft, and all at the same time. This all happened like this. And the craft was hovering there for approximately, because I have police reports, military transcripts, it was hovering there for approximately 5 to 6 minutes in total, completely still. And when this ball of light and beam of light came down, all simultaneously, the craft exploded. Red and orange sparks started shooting out. And the white light that was in the center of it, whatever, it was a very strange white light, on some sort of plasma-ish white light, and that white light in the center sucked itself into itself. The outside of the craft exploded like you would imagine a normal aircraft explosion. 150 yards or two. I guess a couple base football fields. I know you're in the metric system over there, so I'm not going to use yards and feet, but a few football stadiums, and debris, almost like a firework. And when you watch a firework and you think the fireworks are going to hit you, but they don't.
Yeah.
When this
Yeah.
thing exploded, that's exactly how it was. My family was worried that debris was going to hit our house. It was directly behind our house. It was terrifying. My mother instantly hung up the phone and she called 911, and she didn't say UFO. She said some sort of aircraft just exploded behind our house. Please send help. 10 minutes later, police come, take initial statement. 25 minutes later, two cars pull up, two black cars. Out of the one car, two men wearing black suits and black hats. Out of the other car, a man dressed in Air Force attire. And what happened after that has been known as the Lower Alloways Creek incident. And my mother was threatened, and it was very, very serious.
Oh.
And I have all
All
the evidence.
documented. All
Took me 30
documented.
years. 30
Police,
years to
fire
find the
record,
truth.
military, it's all
And no
documented.
one listens. Well, they're starting to now, but it's taken 4 years, and it's almost broke me down. Anthony and I, we've been through a lot, but we're confident now that this is what we got to do,
Let me tell
and
you
we're
something,
we're ready
Daniel.
for it.
When there's documentation from the police department, fire department, military, government. I mean, you can't argue those cases that have documentation to back them up. You just
Right.
cannot argue it. And throughout history, there's quite a few. You have like Kecksburg in Pennsylvania. You have
The Bill.
the military guys, Rendlesham Forest. There's a couple of these documented UFO cases throughout the decades, throughout the years, and the data speaks for itself.
Well, I guess that trumps my story a little bit.
Well,
No,
everybody's
it's not a
story,
competition.
yeah,
No,
Every
it's
everybody's
not.
story is
experience
It's
is
not.
interesting.
It's
powerful.
not. But it's damn. That's intense. So you said there was debris everywhere. Did you collect something, or did someone collect some of this debris?
Yeah, it takes me about 3 hours because when you have an event like this, there was a lot of things going on at the actual crash site. There was things going on at my house, and the search and rescue took place over 2 days. Multiple helicopters. We had witnesses that the Coast Guard was parked there on a boat because this happened near the nuclear plant, which was a no-fly zone since 1977, and nothing should have been flying there or hovering there. The Coast Guard on a boat, because this happened near a creek, and they were there, armed Coast Guard, because my cousin was the fire chief. He was a firefighter, and he was on the fire truck going there. And the Coast Guard had black tarps laid out all over the marsh. And they told my cousin, who was the fire chief, that the situation is under control, and he ordered them to turn back around. Once they went back to the firehouse, there were other people there, and at a later time, they went back. At one point, they saw a tree removal service cutting down trees in the area. And then the second person that went to see what was going on, they saw a flatbed truck with black tarped material on the back of it. They had the whole site cleared within 2 hours, and approximately 4 hours after the first 911 phone call that my mother made, then the search and rescue helicopters from the police and from the Delaware Bay Authority, then the search and rescue helicopters came, but that was 4 hours after, and they already had the site cleared, and they've already threatened my mother. They threatened my mother that if she didn't report it as a helicopter, they would take me away and lock her up in a loony bin. My mom said, "Okay, I understand," and she did what she had to do. And it was
Wow.
covered up extremely well. It was covered up as a mysterious helicopter crash. Although no helicopter was reported missing, I have all of the military transcripts calling each military base. Was this yours? Was this yours? No, 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 no.
I just sent you a news article to Messenger about it, Daniel.
Oh, that's interesting. So did your family has some of this debris, or?
30 years after, I finally went to the site. It's a long story, but I believe that I could have possibly found some debris. At the time, the area where it crashed is marshland. If you walk on it, you will sink in mud.
Like
It's not
swamp.
easy. It's swamp, like really bad swamp, very dangerous swamp. And if you go out there, yeah, right behind me. That's where it crashed behind. You can see the nuclear plant, but if you look, you see how it's marshland. You
Yeah.
can't just go out there and find it. But on the bridge that you see me standing there, that bridge closed the night of the UFO crash, and it's closed
Never
today. It's
opened
still
back up
closed.
either. Yeah.
It hasn't opened back up, and unfortunately, they are in the process of demolishing it and taking it down, which is devastating to me because it's last of the little evidence I have of my story. But I did find a few pieces of what I believe to be debris, and I'm in the process of, I gotta be careful what I say here, but I am in the process of working with someone who has a laboratory in a disclosed location in another country, not the United States, who has the state-of-the-art equipment that studies UFO crash debris for other countries and agencies.
Okay, wow.
He is going to study my debris, and let me know what he finds. Whether it's a meteorite, I told him personally, I said, you know what? It doesn't need to be UFO crash debris. If it's not, it's okay. I know it still may be there. I
And how
just
can
need
you
a
tell?
professional team. And how can I tell? I need to get it tested, but I haven't
Right.
trusted anyone with the amount of cover up with this story. I most certainly don't trust anyone in the United States. Who's to say that they'll take my debris and pass it off as their own? And once it's
Right.
in their hands, they don't need to give it back to me because it's a matter of national security. So
True.
um, I'm sending it to someone that I highly trust, and I told him straight up if it's a meteorite, if it's some sort of iron or shell rock, a natural rock or anything, it does have magnetic properties and it does give off a little electromagnetic field to it. So
Oh,
that's kind of weird, but some rocks can do that, and meteorites as well. So I
Yeah.
told him I don't care what it is, I just want to know the truth. And until I get the results back, all I can do is say that I may possibly have pieces of UFO crash debris.
even
But
if they
until
say
I get
it's
it tested, I don't know.
even if they say it's a meteorite, you still don't know what this object was made of. Like we said, it could
No,
be.
no, his technology can break it down to the finest elements. I mean, he has state of the art stuff.
Spectrometer.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
spectrometer.
he can take a drop of water and he can tell you a lot more than it's a
Every
drop of
molecule
water
that, yeah, right.
But
Yeah.
what I'm
and
saying
where those
is,
molecules came from.
but what I'm saying is, if even if they say it's meteorite, it could still be part of the craft. Could be part of a heat
Oh,
shield or something like that. I don't know,
yeah.
man.
Be a component of some kind, sure, absolutely. Could be part
Yeah,
of the
Because
material.
I
Yeah.
mean, meteorites are rocks from other places in the galaxy, and if they're building these crafts, like Anthony and I both said, it looked like organic rock meteorite material that these things are made out of. So I see what Daniel is saying. How do you know that it's not the craft or just the meteorite?
Right. It's
If
hard.
a meteorite is the same thing as the craft, like
they could use it for
that, I don't know.
isolation or like I said, heat shield, something like that. Could be used for that. So it could be part of a craft.
Very possible.
You never know. You right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good point.
could be on board for some reason. Like I said, yeah. Oh, well, that's very interesting, man. It's very, very interesting.
And the Men in
So,
Black are real, but we didn't call them the Men in Black. The show X-Files came out in 1993. The movie Men in Black came out in 1996. When my family had this, we didn't, at the time, no one even believed in aliens or UFOs or anything like that. We were country people, very religious, Jesus, 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 those kind of people. So when these gentlemen came in and they said the things that they said to my mother, and they told us the truth. They told us about the existence, and then they threatened my mother not to say anything. But they did give us answers, but can we trust them? I don't know. I don't, they were strange. And I'm not a fan of whoever this agency is wearing these black suits going around threatening a 22-year-old single mother. I had no dad. My poor 22-year-old single mother being threatened by an agency for the sake of national security. And that's the problem with disclosure in this country right now. Is this, if you hear Washington, D.C. talking about disclosure, everything is national security, but our national security. There is no national security. It's a false sense of national security. That's just an excuse they use. And Anthony and I were not waiting for the clowns in Washington, D.C. to tell us what we have already experienced firsthand. We're not waiting
Well,
for them to give us disclosure.
how can you
We
even
are
trust
the
them?
disclosure. We
Right,
are the
we are the
disclosure.
disclosure. And how can you trust the government when Lou Elizondo was trying to push off to Congress that a reflection of a light on a mirror was a mothership UFO? He
oh yeah,
tried to,
right.
I mean, come on. That's the government telling you about UFO. I can't take that for face value. It's not even a credible story, but you want us to believe that you're going to be the forefront of disclosure? I'm sorry, I can't buy that.
No, I think the whole disclosure movement over there with all these UAP hearings in the Congress, stuff like that. I guess it's all about politics, and
Yeah,
UAP is only the headline. It's the
Brother,
it's
all
the
these congressmen, all these UFO showboaters, they all have an agenda. They all want to
right.
get famous, they all want to be well known, and they all want to make money. Every single one of them has a book or a movie deal or some nonsense in the works. The congressmen and senators, they all want to be in the forefront of the story. So they'll say whatever you want as long as the narrative fits, them at that time. You know what I mean? That's how this country works. That's not what we're about. We're about putting the truth out there for what it is. If it's a balloon, it's a balloon. If it's a bird, it's a bird. And if it's an alien ship, it's an alien ship. The data will tell. And that's where the truth lies in the data. There's no other way to word it.
I love that. We need data. That's what I say all the time.
Yeah.
We need data, and
That's it.
I'm counting on stuff like that, like your project, and I'm counting on maybe astrobiology, I'm counting on James Webb Telescope, stuff like that. I hope
yeah,
Absolutely.
I hope we can find
yeah.
something, yeah, with the help of James Webb, or like I said, astrobiology, and guys like Avi Loeb, guys like you, of course, people that builds all sky cameras.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
this is data. This is data. I love stories about abductions, and I've talked to Calvin Parker, and I've talked
Yeah.
to all these guys. I've talked to Eric von Däniken, and all these stories are great. It's awesome stories, awesome theories, because it's speculation and theories. It's nothing more,
Right, right,
nothing
right.
less, and it's interesting. It's very interesting because we have
Hmm.
coincidences and we have similarities all over the world. And
Correct.
even talked to a witness from the Ruwa, Zimbabwe aerial school incident. I've talked to a guy who was a kid back then and saw everything.
Oh, the
Oh
aerial
wow.
school?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
that's cool.
James Fox, the James Fox story. Yeah.
right. Yeah, and I've talked to one of these guys. I met him and contacted him, talked to him on the phone, and we met at this conference and we talked the whole night. We drank a few beers and we talked. He told me the whole
Hmm.
story again, and it sounded great, and he was believable in everything, and he's not really interested in the UFO topic. Like, he has his experience,
That
has his
makes it
story.
more credible,
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
right?
that's what I'm trying to say, and it's very interesting, but still, um, it's well documented, of course, and we have a lot of witnesses, but proof. It's a proof for these kids, back then kids. It's a proof for these guys. It's, of course, for these guys it's a proof. It's and for to me it's a proof what I saw. I saw the triangle. Well, I it's a proof for that I saw something that I can explain.
Right.
I don't know if I saw something extraterrestrial. I saw something that I
Right.
can explain, and it moved
Exactly.
fucking fast and went like. But could I don't know what the military has, the government has. I don't know they how far ahead they are with when it comes to technology. I mean, is it possible that we have something like that? I don't know. So I can't be, and that's why I cannot say I saw something extraterrestrial. I cannot. No, no.
Right.
I keep, yeah, I keep
Like you
skeptical.
said,
We can speculate, but
right, right.
that's it.
Like
Yeah,
like I said before, yeah, I seen those triangular craft. I don't know if the government had something that could do that, or they created something that could do that. I don't know if they have technology that could cause missing time from maybe some chemical came out of that thing that screwed with my head. I don't know, but
Ah,
the data is what's important.
very
When
important.
when you have the
that's a
data
scary
to go with the
point.
claim, yeah,
That's a
Yeah,
scary point, Anthony, with our experiences. It's a lot easier for us to digest them as being aliens.
right.
The fact that it could even remotely be military or our government, now that
Scary.
scares me to
Really, that scares me
death.
more than aliens.
Yeah, I'll take the
of
aliens
course.
any day of the week. And, it's so fascinating that with the experiences, that we've had, and if those school children, Daniel, if they would have had the equipment and technology that Project Horizon is using, that would be a provable story.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
unfortunately, Anthony and I, and you, Daniel, I mean, you got on a camera, but if Anthony and I would have had all of this equipment when we had our
Forget
experiences,
it. It would have
this
been
would
game
be a
over.
different story.
Yeah.
But we've been fooled once. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. No, there's no more fooling. You're
Yeah.
not even going to get the three. We're done. We've been fooled enough. We're
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
to be ready and we're going to document it. And whatever walks out of if a craft lands in our yard, and something walks out of it, you better believe
We're
Anthony
catching
and
it.
I are recording it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's no fooling the almighty ginger beard anymore.
The great Gandalf. That's the great
Yeah, great
Gandalf.
Gandalf, the red Gandalf. Yeah, awesome beard, man. Awesome. I'm very yeah.
Thou shalt not pass.
But when you said we have to wrap it up in a few minutes, but when you said you don't know if they have technology that makes creates missing time or something like that, I know it's not directly related, but when you said that, I had things in mind like MK Ultra, for example,
Yeah,
stuff like that,
Mhm.
or they have these truth serums that they inject and stuff like that. So, hey, we don't know what they got, and like you said, it's very scary thought that we have it, we humans
yeah,
have it.
Mhm.
It's very
yeah,
scary thought. Yeah, I also prefer
Terrifying.
aliens. I also
yeah.
prefer aliens.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Please let it be aliens.
Let it be aliens.
Please.
Man, guys, thank you so much for sharing all these very interesting and awesome stories with me. I had a
Thank
lot of
you,
fun today.
Daniel.
Had a lot of
Pleasure's
fun
all
today.
Yes.
ours. It was a great time. Thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
I will put
Thank you,
all the
Daniel.
necessary links in the description, of course.
Thank you.
People can find you and your project. Yeah, like I said, thank you so much. Please stay with me for 2 more minutes, okay?
Sure, sure.